don't tell anyone, right, before they catch on. Jim's not here this week again. I'm Bill Taylor of Kind of Hijacked. I'm from The Sixth Sense and Ghostbusters Northern Ireland. This is what we're going to be talking about tonight. We'll be reviewing The Substance, which is still out in cinemas. Our DVD of the week is The Hitcher, starring Rutger Hauer, which has just been re-released on DVD and Blu-ray. And to celebrate the start of spooky season, our pick of the Screams is Ouija, Origin of Evil on Netflix. So that's what we've got lined up this evening. Our guest tonight is Adam Neeson.
Evening, Bill.
And James Oliver.
Hi.
So before we continue, let's get into some movie news. So I was reading tonight, gents, that Happy Gilmore 2 is in production. And how do we feel about that? I'm personally really stoked because I heard that one of my favourite wrestlers, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, is going to be part of the cast. So how do you feel about that, Adam?
Semi-excited. I've got a soft spot for Adam Sandler comedies. I know they're not the best cinematic treats of ever, but I do get a good laugh out of it. The original Happy Gilmore classic. Watched it in so many science classes in school when the teacher didn't want to teach anything, and it was always a good laugh. Always up for a sequel. Unfortunately, we'll not have Bob Barker this time, but I'm sure he can punch another old man down a hill.
What about you, James? Is this one of your guilty pleasures?
No, I love Happy Gilmore. It's a great show, and like yourself, MJF is going to be part of the cast. I'm very excited about that, being a big wrestling fan as well. And you know what? The man gave us Uncut Gems a few years ago. Let him have some fun again with a role,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's coming out on Netflix next year, so I think it's March, April time, so keep an eye out for that, kids. Also in movie news, Peaky Blinders, the movie, has just started production as well. Now, I was a big fan of the TV show. I don't know about you, gents. How do you feel about this? James, I'll go to you.
I never watched the series. I know that's a cardinal sin to some people. Yeah, never got around to watching it. But I mean, I'm always up for a movie experience, and it's Cillian Murphy, so who doesn't love that guy,
I totally agree. Adam?
I'm same. Never watched it. Tried a few times, fell asleep a few times, not because of the quality of the show, just because I watch things late at night. But yeah, always up for it. Great cast. Old Barry is joining the cast, Barry Cohen. So yeah, maybe I'll have time to catch up with the series before the movie comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I was a big fan of the BBC show, so you can catch Peaky Blinders if you haven't watched it. It's on BBC, and I think it's on Netflix as well. But anyway, let's get on with our big film this week, The Substance, starring Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley.
The Substance.
I'm Sue.
You're hired.
Let's go.
A perfect balance of 7 days each. The one and only thing not to forget. You are one. You can't escape from yourself.
There's been a slight misuse of the substance.
So that was The Substance, starring Demi Moore in what could be an Oscar-worthy performance. Now in the film, Elizabeth Sparkle, renowned for her aerobics show, faces a devastating blow on her 50th birthday as her boss fires her. Amid her distress, a laboratory offers her a substance which promises to transform her into an enhanced version of herself. Well guys, we all saw it in the cinema. I personally really enjoyed this film. I kind of thought, going in, I knew nothing about it. I was very worried that it was going to be like artsy-fartsy, and it is to a certain extent. There's a lot of use of weird cameras, weird camera angles, close-ups, colours, you name it. It pulls all the tricks in to fool you into thinking that this is going to be an arty-farty film. But I have to say, the performance from Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley was absolutely fantastic. Now, I don't want to spoil this film too much for people, but there is a bit of a sci-fi element to it, and there is a bit of a horror element to it as well. So, folks, if you are going to the cinema, bit of watchers beware. But anyway, Adam, going to you, what do you think?
Well, I loved the director's previous movie, Revenge, which was sort of, a throwback to exploitation through, like you call it, the arty-farty lens. And going into this, I was sort of expecting Cronenberg meets Casper Noé, and that's sort of what we got. Like you say, Demi Moore is fantastic in this role. She's an actress that I've really discovered recently. You always hear the name growing up, but never really watched any of her movies. But here she gives truly an Oscar-worthy performance of this woman who just wants to relive her youth again. And she does it here through possibly the weirdest way possible. But fantastic movie. Don't be eating your dinner before you go in, because it is very body horror. And Dennis Quaid, of course, plays a sleazy executive who gives probably his best Vince McMahon impression you'll ever see on screen.
To be honest, I can't argue with any of that. You're absolutely right. Dennis Quaid, he is sort of personifying that definite Mr. McMahon character. But it was the main cast, Margaret, Qualley and Demi Moore, the two of them. I think their interactions with, they don't really interact with each other, but that's the point. I think the film asks a lot of questions as well, and it's especially with aging and how far will we go to stop the aging process and things like that. But James, coming to you, what did you think of the film?
Yeah, I loved it up until probably the last 30 minutes or so. It was going to be in my sort of top 10 this year. Again, no spoilers obviously for the viewers at home, but I feel the last 30 minutes just takes it a step too far. But up until that point, phenomenal. Both agreeing with yourselves, Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, I feel will be nominated or be recognised to some extent. I feel the film sort of addresses a very kind of hot topic, with regards to women and how they're sort of sexualized for TV and media and whatnot, and that's a great sort of point that it goes into. And we do get sort of shown, the nastier side of media, like Dennis Quaid, who's, well, I could describe him in so many words, but not for pre-Watershed TV. But yeah, phenomenal film. Just the last half hour, I feel, just went a bit too excessive for my liking and spoilt it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I'm very conscious that it's three guys sitting around talking about a film that's starring Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, and not one of us has mentioned the elephant in the room, which is the amount of nudity that's in this. I mean, it surprised even me going into the cinema. I know I think it is an 18 rated film, so I mean, you're warned before you go in, but it was the amount of nudity. But I have to say, the thing that surprised me about this film is Demi Moore. She is supposed to be 50 years old in this film, and you're seeing her and her whole body, her whole nakedness, and she's 61 years old, and that to me shows a lot of body confidence for that actress, especially in this time in her career. I mean, I'll always remember, like 25, 30 years ago, Dennis Pennis got her on the red carpet and asked her was there amount of money that she would take to keep her clothes on, because she was an actress that was renowned for stripping off in roles. But in this one, I mean, it's absolutely, I suppose it's part of the story, and it allows us to follow the process of actually what does happen to her and her body going through this. You've both covered it perfectly. The amount of grotesque body horror that's on show here is, it's vomit inducing, and that is a warning, kids. What did you think of the shocks towards the end of the film?
I loved it. The last 30 minutes for me, I was giggling and guffawing and had my feet up in the air because I was having a great time. When the horror finally stopped, there was a guy sat behind me that said, "Thank God that's over," because it is so intense and full on, and when you think it's going to stop, it doesn't. And I suppose that's sort of the point. These producers want these women to give them their all, and she gives them their all, to the point that she does something so outlandish, but at the end of the day, she's basically forgotten as a person. That's sort of the overall message of the movie. But like you know, we're all mixed on the horror of it all. But you know, it's going to take a certain type of person that can withstand that amount of just pure gore and outlandishness. That you know, you have to kind of see it as a comedy. It's a very funny movie. And you know, if you find that sort of thing funny like me, then you'll enjoy it. If you find it just horrifying and never want to see it again, that's fair enough as well.
Yeah, James, any last words?
Again, if you're a fan of gore and stuff, I would recommend it though. You know, like I sat through the Terrifier double bill, so for me, there's no sort of more over the top than what that can get. But yeah, I mean, like I say, a great film, but just the last 30 minutes, I have to disagree and say that that's what sort of killed it for me. But up until that point, phenomenal. But you know, that's why we're all here, differing opinions. So we'll let the audience decide.
Well, there we go. That's what we thought of The Substance. And now we'll move on to our DVD of the week, which was The Hitcher.
My mother told me never to do this. My name's Jim Halsey.
John, Ryder.
So you want me to drop you off somewhere? What do you want?
I want you to stop me.
Why are you doing this to me?
You're a smart kid. Figure it out.
So that was the trailer for The Hitcher, the 1986 classic starring Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell. This was directed by Robert Harmon, and I have to say, folks, this is one that escaped me when I was a kid. Young Bill, when he was scouring the video shop shelves, he got Aliens, he got RoboCop, he got Nightmare on Elm Street, he got all the classics, but I never got this, and to be honest, I don't know why. I watched it yesterday for the first time, and I really enjoyed it, although there was a few moments that I thought I was watching Grand Theft Auto, and I was like, there's a moment, and you know, I'm going to go in the spoiler zone here. It's a 38-year-old movie. If you haven't seen it yet, you want to watch it, and you don't want to hear what we say, pause this, go watch the film, and then come back. But anyway, that's your warning. There was the sequence where they're getting chased down the highway with the cops, and the helicopter appears, and I'm like, oh, he's just got 5 stars in GTA. But anyway, I suppose I should really talk about the plot. The plot of the film is thus. C. Thomas Howell is driving a car from Chicago to San Diego, and he does what we all have been taught not to do, and that is pick up a hitchhiker. And from there, his day goes from bad to worse. And that's pretty much it. James, what did you think of the film?
I loved it, yeah. I stuck it on this afternoon just in preparation for here and now. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Has some beautiful cinematography throughout, some really great long shots. And the score as well was just really great. Rutger Hauer, I only really knew him from Blade Runner. Yeah, that's as far as my knowledge goes on him. Yeah, he just really plays this really menacing figure. And I kind of love how he's menacing, but without saying too much. You know, there's no sort of drawn out dialogue scenes here. It's just pretty much like, I'm going to mess up your day and I'll just keep coming.
Yep, absolutely perfect. I sort of likened his performance to that of Michael Myers in Halloween, of all films, because you've hit the nail on the head. He says very little, but as the film progresses, you start to realize that this guy just appears out of nowhere, and he's been like he's one step ahead of our hero all the time. I mean, that bit in the diner when he's eating the chips and it's not a chip, it's a finger, you know. So he's been there before him. It sort of struck me as this is almost like Halloween meets Cannonball Run meets a Western, because we do see a lot of the American sort of, I want to say countryside, but it's not really countryside. It's like just the dirt terrain. It's a lot of dust. There's no rain clouds. It's very arid and deserty, you know. And this is like small town America, so there's like, you know, eateries all over the place, but very little people in them. I just thought that C. Thomas Howell's journey through the whole film, it did feel a bit Laurie Strode, if that makes sense. What do you think, Adam?
I love The Hitcher. It's one of those movies that I feel like if it came out 10 years earlier, it would have been more, not well received, but it would have got more of a following, because it was sort of in that exploitation era, because it is in the line between like Vanishing Point and Road Games. But like you both said, Rutger Hauer, fantastic performer, absolutely terrifying in this role. The whole chase aspect of the movie just keeps it clipping along. You know, there's always the people to root for. Like you say, it does get a bit outlandish when like the helicopter and the cops turn up, but some incredible practical effects, especially when you have flipping cars going down the road. And it's a shame that this spawned a terrible remake with Sean Bean later on. But as a standalone, and especially because it's out now on Blu-ray and 4K, definitely check it out, especially coming up to Halloween season.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a very unlikely, scary horror film. But I mean, there's physical horror, there's elements of physical horror, but there's also the elements of psychological horror. I mean, the whole sequence at the start where he tries to get him to say 4 words, and the 4 words are, "I want to die." And I don't know, I kind of got the feeling through the whole journey that Rutger Hauer's character is gunning to die, but he had lots of opportunities to sort of do it differently, and, you know, just take the rap, but he was intent on torturing this young fella, and almost, I think at the end of the film, he kind of has to turn him into that kind of person in order to exact his revenge, as it were. But anyway, I think we all enjoyed it. So that was The Hitcher, which is now available on DVD and Blu-ray. But now, the pick of the streams. Sorry. Since it's October, and it's the start of spooky season, Fright Club are going to be introducing all of our films in this section, which is now not pick of the streams, but pick of the screams. See what they did there? But anyway, here's Gav Logan with the first one.
Mary, we invite you into our circle. If that's you, blow out the candles.
Oh my God.
This is a scam.
She deserved it, Mom. It's your job to stand at the curtains and not attack the clients. And you, young lady?
What's a scam?
Woke up this morning feeling
You are so weird.
Does she have a lot of problems?
It's nothing too concerning.
What's this?
New prop for work. Spirit, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. And we can see you.
Who are you talking to, Doris?
Daddy, are you there? Who are you?
Mike Flanagan will soon be embarking on a demonic journey into the universe of William Friedkin's The Exorcist, and he's certainly no stranger to paranormal activities or possessions. But it was almost 10 years ago when the writer-director showed us what he could really do with the studio behind him in his 5th feature film, Ouija: Origin of Evil. Working as a prequel to Styles White's 2014 Spookfest Ouija, Flanagan, in trademark fashion, creates a taut thriller that success hinges on the performances of its principal cast, that includes some of his mainstays like Elizabeth Reeser and Henry Thomas. And as always, there's a family dynamic present too. Ouija Origin of Evil isn't full of scares, but makes up with that with superior writing to its predecessor and an aesthetic that makes the film feel authentic. It shows that Flanagan, who isn't the finished article here, was always destined to be the new master of horror.
Did you see her writing this?
No.
Because it's Polish.
Doris, who did this?
I'll show you. Are you here?
Something is happening that we can't understand.
I'm concerned about your girl. The spirit world is dangerous.
What are you doing? I'm not doing it. Stop it!
Do you know what it feels like to be strangled to death?
Something is wrong with Doris. She's experiencing something amazing.
I believe she is channeling powers we do not understand.
Doris. Doris! Are you there? Are you there?
Yes.
So that was Gav introducing Ouija, Origin of Evil. A widow and her two daughters use a Ouija board to help people move on with life. They interact with the spirit, but are unaware of the fact that it has possessed Doris, the youngest daughter. Okay, so I watched this on Netflix, and I was surprised to find out that it was a 2016 film. Passed me by, and it's directed by Mike Flanagan from, House of Usher and Hill House fame. I absolutely adored this film. I'm surprised. Again, it's one of these ones I probably should have watched it. I'm a big horror fan, big Flanagan fan. I love his film Hush, and I don't know how this escaped me, but anyway, this film, and right from the start, again, it's got all the Flanaganisms. It's got, he loves working with his wife. He loves working with certain people, and they're in there. The thing I really liked about this film is its focus on family. It's a lot of his work seems to be centered around the family unit. And I loved the old time sort of 60s, 70s look that he managed to do very well on this film. And the story itself, I mean, no spoilers, but it's got everything I want in a film. But I can't tell you what it is because it'd be a bit of a spoiler. I'll tell the folks after. But yeah, I absolutely loved this. Adam, what did you think?
I'm with you, Bill. I love this. I love Mike Flanagan. This is the rare exception of a sequel being better than the original, because the original Ouija is just atrocious film that should never be watched by anybody. So this is a standalone movie. But Mike Flanagan is able to capture that sort of old-fashioned poltergeist exorcist, which he's doing the next version of, sort of aura of, like you say, a family dynamic and someone young in the family being corrupted. And it's just a movie that has no right to be as good as it is, because, when you say this is based on a board game where all you do is say yes or no, there isn't really anywhere you could go with it. But Mike, being the master of horror that he is able to take that premise and run with it. It is a bit of a shame, that it had the previous movie before it, so people didn't come in and see this new movie, not knowing who was directing it. Of course, he was a little known at the time. It's just his fans. But hopefully, people now, after watching the masterpiece that is Midnight Mass, that hopefully they pick this up during Halloween, because it is a genuinely scary movie.
The thing I liked about this film, and I would agree with everything you've said so far, is Flanagan. He pulled off the biggest jump scare in Haunting the Hill House. And this, he doesn't really do jump scares. The scares are there, but they're not like jumpy scares. You know that they're coming. He sort of train tracks them a wee bit, but when they come, you're still not ready for it. but I wouldn't class it as a jump scare. And I think as he goes more and more into doing all these sort of horror films, he's becoming a master of his trade. What did you think of the film, James?
I'm about to let you boys down. I hated this film. So I caught it originally. You're shaking your head. I caught this originally at cinemas when it came out. Me and my mate went, and we came out of it just sorely let down, very disappointed. It was just sort of another run-of-the-mill possession type film. Found out I had to rewatch it again for tonight's show, and for Gritted Teeth, stuck it on Netflix last night. And again, just nothing has changed. I still despise this film. I think that it's just so, I mean, again, can't go into spoiler context for spooky season. People might want to watch themselves. But you look what happens at the start of the film, and then they come into, they come into possession of the Ouija board. And I mean, they had it coming. I feel no sympathy for any characters in this film going by what happens at the start of the movie. I feel the performances are just a bit wooden, very hollow, very bogus, and there's stuff that happens in the sort of the narrative, and I'm like, that really makes no sense. And by the end of it, I'm like, oh, that definitely doesn't make sense. But yeah, so I have to disagree with both you fellas on this one and say that I did not enjoy this at all.
Well, we can't agree on everything. But yeah, I mean, as a final word on the film, I would encourage people, if you have Netflix, certainly give it a go. I mean, there's worse things on TV. I suppose that's how we can put that one down. So we can't agree on all of them, gents, but out of the three, which ones was your favourite? James, I'm going to go to you first because I think I know which one you probably like the best. But anyway.
Yeah, I'll have to say The Hitcher. Definitely a pleasant surprise, and I will be picking it up on either Blu-ray or 4K.
And what about yourself, Adam?
I would go maybe Ouija. Just being a Flanagan fan, I've watched this a few times and I still get the enjoyment out of it. Like yourself, I will be picking up Hitcher in 4K. I'm sure it's a beautiful transfer. And The Substance, for as amazing as it was, a second viewing might be a little bit away because my stomach still hasn't settled.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, my favourite one of the three is probably The Hitcher. And I'll probably do the same, guys. I want to buy the remaster and see it on a big screen. But anyway, that concludes our reviews. The only other thing we should mention is just, I suppose, the death of Chris Christopherson. Seeing as it is Halloween season, and I loved his work in the Blade movies. I think he's always going to be remembered for his work in the Blade movies. So, Adam, over to you. What's your thoughts on the passing of Chris?
Beautiful singer. Weirdly, I love his work with the Highwaymen. I think, it's a great... A few of those people have gone now, but, that's a great band. And like you say, in Blade, his presence would surely be missed whenever they make the new Blade. They're going to have to get someone on the same level as him.
Yeah, I totally agree. James?
Yeah, I mean, same as yourselves, gents. I only really knew him from Blade, and of course, it's tragic when anyone sort of has a passing that had such a major impact. And just on that note, Dame Maggie Smith as well, we lost this past week. Will be known for generations for her work, especially for Harry Potter. So yeah, it's been a sad week, and then overall, I feel.
Absolutely, it has. So yeah, that was Dame Maggie Smith and Chris Christopherson down this week. My favourite Chris Christopherson song has always been Sunday Morning Coming Down, and I suppose that sums up the show perfectly, as we've now come to the end. Coming down on a Sunday morning. It's not Sunday. But anyway, so all that's left to do is for me to thank my guests, and thanks, Adam.
Thank you, Bill.
Goodbye to you, James.
Thank you, Bill.
And it's goodbye from me, and that's it. It's over. I'm now going to get locked up again, and Jim will thaw me out whenever he needs me next. So, cheerio, everybody.